Good morning and happy holidays to everyone, and welcome to Order Up, the final Order Cutoff show. This is going to be our shortest show of the year, at least until next week, as a lot of books are already final order cutoffed for the upcoming weeks. Nevertheless, we have a great show with some fun books ahead and even more exciting things to announce after this opener. Hi everyone, I'm Mathias Lewis, and I'm here to talk to you about FOC, or Final Order Cutoff. It is the last chance that we, the comic retailers, have to finalize our orders for comics releasing roughly 3 to 6 weeks out from the Mondays we finalize our orders. We deal with this every Monday, but this is important to you, the consumer, because it is the perfect time to reach out to your local comic shop if you want any specific or guaranteed items. If you want the Jim Lee or Dan Mora covers of Justice League Unlimited, reach out to your local comic shop and let us know. If you want the new issue of Lilo and Stitch, this is the perfect time to tell us. Because as long as you can get us the orders before Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, that will give your local comic shop retailer enough time to finalize that order, adding in whatever it is you want, so they can guarantee when it releases, we have a copy set aside waiting for you. So, always reach out to your local comic shop before 6 p.m. on Mondays with the comics you want. The sooner, the better, to guarantee they're waiting for you. All right, and this week we're going to be talking about the comics that are on Final Order Cutoff Monday, December 22nd, because we are in the holidays. In fact, we're deep in the wick of it with Hanukkah. We have Christmas next Thursday, and Kwanzaa next Friday. So all the fun stuff happening, but that also means we have some very simple FOC weeks. Right, Kyle?
Yeah, I mean, the skip week has been a thing in comics for years. And, you know, there were years where Christmas was a skip week for shipping, right? You just wouldn't get new books Christmas week. Well, now that's kind of gone away. And what it's been replaced with, you have to order everything for the new year in November, because the last 2 weeks of December, you don't have to order anything, which is always nice, too, because you're busy. Hopefully, your stores are super busy with customers coming in, buying last-minute Christmas gifts for the nerds in their lives. So, like, you don't have time to be over here going, well, I'm going to this, or I need to, how many of that do I need to stock? And, oh, I wish I could, I need to do the math on this. No, you have to worry about it. Sell product. And that's a big benefit to these short weeks, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I feel like I'm looking the ghost of Christmas past up here right now with our wonderful holiday frame of my lighting here in Canada. But yes, no, I mean, it is one of those realities that the big companies, they're taking the days off. You're not going to get any Marvel or DC on FOC this week. Did I say something that funny, Kyle?
My brain hit me funny. Change your ways, Ebenezer Dan or David
Gabriel.
David Gabriel. Yeah. No, it's, you know, the ghost of comics orders past.
Yeah. Oh, I need some chains on me right now. There's so many people in the comic industry. I could make into an Ebenezer Scrooge right now. But
Right.
Well, many of those same people are enjoying holidays off, and even the entirety of Lunar Distribution taking the week off. Penguin Random House is still hitting strong with some amazing books. So we didn't want to leave you guys hanging without an FOC show. So this week and next week we'll have minimal FOC, but that means we can go over a lot of the big highlights. And next week we're going to do something special. We're going to do our top 10 for the year. We might even have a super special guest for that. But a lot of fun on there. I think we do need to take a moment, though, and remind everyone, if you want to see the comics that are on Final Order Cutoff, there are 2 key websites to do that with. And Kyle, if you'd help me with this, let's show them. If you're a fan of Marvel, IDW, Dark Horse, Distillery, Ignition Press, Boom Studios, Kodansha, Square Enix, and more, you're going to want to use prhcomics.com. And while not all of those publishers have items on FOC this week, it's worth noting. And if you are a fan of DC, Image, Oni Press, and others, well, you're going to use lunardistribution.com and have a week off this week and next, because when you go to lunardistribution.com, you just simply scroll on down to upcoming FOC, and you notice between December 15th and January 5th, there is nothing. So I want to remind everyone, you can get ahead. Doesn't hurt. Let your local comic shop know what you want, what things are coming up. You can constantly scroll forward with this amazing device and look forward to future items. But there's nothing you need to worry about this week or next. So we're just going to get rid of that tab right off the bat and go back to PRH Comics, where right here, they keep it front and center. I love it. FOC for December 22nd, 2025. When you click that, you'll get this wonderful list. I always recommend sorting it A to Z, and you can see all the items on FOC this week. We're going to talk about a good majority of them this week in all reality, but mainly the key highlights. But before we dive into that, is there anything you want to add? I mean, as we get into this holidays, there's a lot of uniqueness, anything you want to particularly lead us in with, Kyle?
Got
to think. I think this is a curveball to him.
Yeah, you threw this as a curveball to me. Other than the general bah humbug that is my existence, guys. This past year has been a huge year in comics. There's so much change, so much new development, so much stuff is different than it was at the beginning of last year. So if the thing I want to go into as we jump into FOC, especially for a small week, is just how much more important this information is this week than it was a year ago when we were doing this show. Right? A year ago when we were doing this show, you could get pretty much everything you needed from one of 2 places. Right? And you get all of the information you need to know for what was on order from one website. Now you've got to do a lot more work, and that sucks for you as the consumer.
Yeah.
But it also sucks for your retailers. So this information is so much more vital that it's getting out to the people it needs to get out to, that you're telling the people who order your comics, hey, I'm going to buy this comic. So, even though this is a shorter week, the data is not any less important.
All right. I'm going to add to that and request 2 holiday gifts that you can get me and Kyle, as well as your local comic shop at the end of this year. Here's the first one. Please reach out to your local comic shop. If you have a pull box, a subscription, a pull list, whatever you want to call it, whatever your shop chooses to call it, please help clear it out, because that is money your local comic shop has put forth on books for you, and it helps them at the end of the year when they have those sales made and they don't have money hanging. So that is something that I ask that everyone does as soon as they get the chance, every week, if not every month. And I understand that's all relative to you as an individual and your shop's abilities. But if you can do that before the end of the year, it helps your shop out immensely. Here's the second one. And this isn't just for the aesthetics and ego of myself and Kyle. This is for the industry as a whole. Please share all the information on Final Order Cutoff with all your comic loving friends, whether it's this specific show, because we do make this to help out you guys as the fans and readers, as well as your local comic shop. It's just the information to get your local comic shop these orders means that they're not screwing up on orders. They know what you want. That means you're getting what you want, the covers you want, the books you want. You're not missing out. They're not messing up their orders trying to do guesswork. They have a better understanding of what their consumer wants. So please support your local comic shop by picking up your books, and support your local comic shop and the industry as a whole by spreading the information of Final Order Cutoff, whether it's through our weekly live stream that, with the exception of these 2 small weeks, has had a guest every week to talk to you about an incredible book they have on Final Order Cutoff, to make it so you can order your books. Your shop knows what books to order. And of course, the websites we use to get this, so the information is not only out there, it's the correct information. Because there's a lot of great websites that also attempt this. And unfortunately, they are not always the greatest on updating and getting key dates and other information out there. We do our best every week to be one of the first programs to get you the stuff as it finalizes, which means sometimes we're even ahead of the publishers and distributors. But we are going to make sure when we provide you information, it is correct information.
Mm-hmm.
All right. With that, do you want to dive in?
The third thing you could send us all, though, the third thing, because he said 3 things and then listen to energy drinks, because we're both we both need them to get through this show every week, because there is so much data we have to go through and we have to start working so early that you could also, if you wanted to buy your local retailer or, Mathias and I especially, energy drinks or, something to wake us up. Cat coffee.
Yeah, I do love that, we just constantly take on more work. I mean, Kyle is a comic retailer, producer, consultant. I do consulting. I own a shop, we have enough on our plate, but we have to make sure this information gets out there. It benefits not just me and Kyle, but the entirety of the industry.
And I'm starting a new venture after the new year. So it's a whole other
energy drinks. It is the thing that will kill us and the thing that keeps us alive.
It's true.
Celsius.
All right, so let's get through PRH here.
All right, let's start it off with the books that are on FOC this coming Monday, December 22nd. These are all from PRH because Lunar took the week off. Don't worry, that doesn't mean that you didn't get books. It means that you already ordered those on previous FOCs, which also might be a good time to look back, make sure you communicated what you want ordered, because you can always talk to your shop about a potential advance reorder. It doesn't guarantee it the way that Final Order Cutoff does, but if they know, they can still try their best to get you those books. The key, though, get your books before Final Order Cutoff, and let's talk about some books that we can do that on. Let's start out with a unique one that people don't always pay attention to, and that is Random House Publications and Labyrinth Road. We have Blood City Rollers, Move It or Bruise It. Now, you said this was a reference, right, Kyle?
Well, there was a band, the Bay City Rollers. And it's and you have the Blood City Rollers, which is a reference to roller derby. So there's a lot of references going in there in the front.
Yeah. Now let's see if any of you caught this, because I'm sure many of you guys said, "Oh, cool. This is a comic book about a roller derby." But did you catch the vampiric fangs at the bottom of this book? Because this is not just any. It's a roller derby with vampires. V.P. Anderson and Tatiana Hill bring us a very unique concept here, all done in one. It's an original graphic novel, great for all ages, though this is set more for a middle grade readership. This just looks fun. Vampire roller derby. I mean, why not? And my favorite, I love when they do this. You can order the soft cover and the hard cover. They both release January 20th side by side. $15 for the soft cover, or if you want that higher quality, you want that thick hardcover, only $22. So always fun. Keeping with the crazy sports theme, one of my favorite manga of recent memory is getting the omnibus treatment, and that is Blue Lock. If you haven't read Blue Lock, let me prepare you for the year of the new World Cup. World Cup is starting in North America in 2026. So it is going to be a time for soccer and football fans. And this is perhaps the greatest soccer or football manga you will ever read. It is Hunger Games or Battle Royale meets soccer or football. As Japan realizes that they have been present for almost every World Cup since they started officially providing football in Japan. However, they've never made it into the top ranking. That's just a reality. So in this fantasy world, one of the higher ups for Japanese football decides they're going to change that and find the best team possible. And to do that, they get the top players in Japan and put them in what is called the Blue Lock. It is a facility to train them to be the best strikers in all of football. However, there's a simple caveat. By the end of the program, only one person will emerge the victor, and they will lead the Japanese team into the upcoming World Cup. However, if you fail in the blue lock, you are never allowed to play professional football in Japan ever again. Your thoughts of having a career in football are permanently terminated. So it becomes a do or die for these hardcore football kids. And this is an amazing manga. It just brings all that hardcore reality of battle royale, Hunger Games, the long walk, all those constant concepts into something that is far more relatable. And if you know nothing about soccer or football, this will still educate you. You will become a fan through this manga, and you can literally enter it knowing nothing. I love this because this is going to be the first 3 volumes, which is a key storyline, and you're getting it 3 for the price of 2. It's like buy 2, get 1 free in these omnibus forms. Unbelievable. Kaneshiro, unbelievable author. He brought me one of my favorite manga series of the last decade, Kami-sama no Iutori, As the God Commands. And then you get Yosuke Nomura doing unbelievable art that makes every kick of the ball look like it's life or death. So absolutely amazing. I mean, Kyle, I feel that's something you haven't read. I don't know if that's something that, it draws you in or not. But
Blue Lock? I've read a ton of.
Oh, have you read a ton of Blue Lock?
Yeah. I was reading it as it was coming out for a long time.
Even better. See, when you get Kyle into manga, you know it's good.
Yeah, sorry. I was you were talking about Blue Lock, and I'm like, I love Blue Lock. I can talk about Blue Lock all day. But I went in because I think I know now that I completely forgot to order Captain Henry and the Graveyard of Time #3 on my list this week. So I was actively emailing my LCS going, hey, my bad.
No, absolutely. I mean, and that I believe is the big conclusion to Captain Henry, set within the Hellboy universe. And if you guys like things set within the Hellboy universe, we got more treats for you before the end of this show.
Yeah. By the way, the Ben Stenbeck covers of Captain Henry and the Graveyard of Time have been just incredible on every issue. Like, he has been absolutely crushing it. And I'll be honest, Mike working with Bruce Zick, like, they found something in this series that has been really, really good together.
Absolutely. I mean, I feel Mignola has been curating a incredible collection of stunning creators that do the Hellboy universe such justice and also bring to light these awesome creators with all that they have and can add to the Hellboy universe.
Mm-hmm.
But let's talk about a pairing you wouldn't expect. Larry Hama is back with MD Bright, which is not a combo I was expecting to see on a new series. And they are bringing not only a new series, but a whole new superhero universe to Boom. Larry Hama, the man that you most iconically associate with G.I. Joe. MD Bright, a classic artist on what he believes might be his last new comic series, are bringing the center holds. And this is an interesting concept. I don't know if you've already looked ahead on this, Kyle, but this is a universe of superheroes where superheroes are so common that now they must join unions. Otherwise, they're susceptible to the costs of all damages they could possibly occur while doing their superheroism. And that's something you often don't think about. When Fantastic Four are fighting Doctor Doom, buildings are toppling over, cars are getting destroyed, people are getting injured, and somebody's got to pay to fix all that. And a lot of times the insurance companies don't want to deal with it. So the idea that you could sue a superhero for the cost of damages, it's a reality, I hate to say, in a capitalistic world. And this takes a very fun look at that. So we get a brand new superhero universe, new superhero characters, and once again, the final works of MD Bright, like with Larry Hama. I'm hyped on this. Like it seems like Damage Control meets, the Justice League in the style of like the Keith Giffen, J.M. DeMatteis era.
Do you remember Suicide Risk?
I don't.
It was if you're the one non-superhero in a world full of superheroes and supervillains, and it's your job to keep everybody in check, you would be a Suicide Risk. It was a Boom Studios book, like 2013, 2014.
It's starting to sound vaguely familiar. Yeah.
Yeah. It kind of has that vibe to it too.
Yeah.
But like the Joe Quinones cover is killer. There are a lot of great covers for this book, including the pencil art, bright cover that's a 1 in 50. There are some pretty steep incentives, but there are also some like no trade dress, full art, open order variants, which is super cool.
Yeah.
And is that a Jamal?
Jamal Eagle.
That's a Jamal Eagle FOC reveal. That is super cool too.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to show that one off really, really quick because I love Jamal. Great piece
I'll turn
right
my
there.
camera off so my head's not in the way.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. So, brand new series, and I hate to say it, a lot of people are not going to be paying attention to FOC this week because there's no Marvel or DC. So, if you want it, definitely let your local comic shop know. Remind them there is still an FOC due on Monday. I know that some people are going to need that reminder because we're already in holiday mode, but definitely not one to pass up on. I think that'll be really, really fun. There is also a lot of great comics that exist outside of the traditional realm. Super readers, great for kids, a lot of manga continuing on that you're not going to want to miss out on. But there's more original graphic novels. Up there with our unbelievable roller derby piece is Fustuck. Fustuck is very much in the style of the food manga that is becoming popular. But this is not a Japanese influence. This is a Middle Eastern influence. As we deal with a family of chefs, and the youngest son is unfortunately useless in the kitchen. But that doesn't mean he doesn't have a desire to help his family, and he doesn't have a little bit of extra magic. As his family works together to create this grand meal. I think this is a wonderful concept. I always love food stories that take in culture and concepts from foreign lands, at least to me. And this one looks amazing. But when you look at like the last few years of like Eisner and Ringo and other award winners, it's a lot of books like this that have very deservedly walked away with big awards. And I think this is one that will fit in that realm as well. So a great all ages book, definitely middle grade and up, but this is going to be a very fun one. The art interior wise looks amazing, and it is just a fun concept. So, magic, food, and more. Take a look. Once again, this is something that is offered in both hardcover and softcover coming out the same week, right alongside our roller derby one on January 20th. So if this is the type of thing that intrigues you, if you're looking for something that might end up on next year's top 10 list and award-winning lists, pay attention to Fustuck. Then, if you just want some good shonen action, you want something in the vein of what's going to be the new One Piece or Fairy Tail or Naruto, I think you need to pay attention to Kodansha Comics' Galaxius. Now, when you really look at it, we often in America and North America think of Viz being the place where all the big Shonen Jump books hit, but they originate in Shonen Jump Weekly magazine, which is owned by Kodansha. And I think Kodansha really is smart to hold on to their big ones. Galaxius, I believe, is going to be that one. This is going to be the next Naruto, One Piece, Fairy Tail, and more. But it is a fantasy adventure about a boy with a dragon tail and a young woman going off, very much like early Akira Toriyama Dragon Ball. But I mean, I guess that's all of those. It hits all those key shonen tales of just fantasy adventure, a quest where a small group starts out and they expand as they find more people. Everything about this has high potential. So not only fans, but retailers, don't miss out. Make sure this is on your shelf, whether it's your personal shelf as a consumer or your comic shop shelf. If you're developing a manga section, this is one not to sleep on. I think this is Kodansha prepping for a big hit. This all looks amazing. So keep in mind, you can also look Volume 2 has an advanced listing already to release in May, which will be perfectly timed, coming right off of the heels of Free Comic Book Day 2026. Then, if you're looking for some more complete reading, I've been loving everything with Godzilla in 2025. The Kaisei era trilogy, amazing. The crossovers with the Justice League or the Avengers, phenomenal. But my favorite of the pre-Kaisei era Godzilla books IDW has been doing was the miniseries featuring Mothra, Queen of Monsters. And if you missed out on Sophie Campbell's awesome piece, you can now pre-order the trade paperback that will be coming out at the end of January. This is going to be a fun one. I mean, look, there's a lot of great kaiju out there, but none give that protective, motherly sense of amazement that Mothra does. Mothra is a powerhouse not to be messed with, and you get her incredible fairy, supports in this awesome piece. So if you're somebody who wants to expand more into the kaiju Godzilla histories and characters, look, we all love our King Ghidorah, our Mecha Godzillas, our Rodans, and others. But Mothra, top tier. Top tier. And Sophie Campbell and Matt Frank truly bring it to the level that our queen of kaiju deserves. I don't think I've ever asked you this, Kyle, but I am curious. What is your favorite kaiju when you get a chance? I know you're off doing all the behind the scenes stuff, but I'm most curious. Meanwhile, a lot of great continuing series, He-Man and Masters Universe. Obviously, Kyle had mentioned Hellboy, and we have the wrap-up of the Captain Henry series. But if you like seeing those Hellboy stories that aren't focused on our man with the arm of doom, the Hellboy Universe Secret Histories Volume 1 trade does a lot of that. This one is going to give you a large collection of great creators that have worked with Mike Mignola and focus on characters that you don't often get background stories on. Not only are you going to get things like Rasputin, you're going to get Sledgehammer 44 and The Visitor. All three series collected in one affordable trade paperback from Dark Horse. Lots of fun. I mean, Kyle, obviously you're a big fan of these, side stories from Hellboy. Like, any thoughts on these
Absolutely.
three combined?
You got me thinking about my favorite kaiju and then changing directions here.
All right, let's pause. Favorite kaiju. I'm really curious, Kyle.
Rodan,
really?
Yeah, he just doesn't get enough love. Just doesn't get enough love. I mean, if I had to go buy a statue or an action figure, it would be King Ghidorah.
Yeah.
Right, because I think that's the coolest looking one. But I think the Rodan stories are the most interesting.
In that respect, I got to give you. You're 100% right. Yeah.
And so again, we're talking about. So then we're moving on to Hellboy Secret Histories, which, again, you're talking about. The Voice of the Dragon, Sledgehammer 44, and The Visitor: How and Why He Stayed. The Visitor: How and Why He Stayed is one of the best Hellboy stories in the last 10 years, in my opinion. Voice of the Dragon and Sledgehammer 44 are also super important, super great Hellboy stories. But The Visitor: How and Why He Stayed is this emotional upheaval, kind of really makes you feel your feels sort of story that I don't think we get often enough in the Hellboy universe. So that's my favorite of this series. But I think the three going together are really good because it kind of paints a picture as to if all you know is Ron Perlman as Hellboy, or all you know is David Harbour as Hellboy, this paints a picture as to why Hellboy matters and to why Hellboy is the way he is in a pretty good way. And so these side stories, well, not necessarily about Red, not necessarily about the main character, really kind of inform the entirety of the universe. So because everything around it is so important, everything around, the character Hellboy is so important, when you get into the side characters, you get into the B characters, you get into the people that Hellboy cares about, understanding who they are is super important to understanding why he cares.
Absolutely. I love it. But all sorts of fun. Dark Horse definitely not holding back on the holidays on their releases. Neither are some of these manga companies like Seven Seas, just pumping out some amazing books. What can I say? They love things that involve pumping. But definitely pop through and look and see if there are any ones that get your attention. One that very off topic from normal, but I want to remind everyone, since comic shops now have easy access thanks to Penguin Random House to a lot of great prose novels, that is easy, particularly for stores around Anaheim or Orlando, would be The Kingdom Keepers. The Kingdom Keepers is a series that Ridley Pearson has been doing since 2005 that talk about a group of kids who get trapped, the most ideal dream for many Disney fans, in Disney World, only to have the characters come to life. This is something that has been expanding for a while. And in 2023, the third series, The Kingdom Keepers Inheritance, started, which deals with the children of our protagonists. It is a great entry point in this and a great one for kids because it's set in a Disney World in the future where people live in Disney World. And the children of our Kingdom Keepers are now interacting and trying to save Epcot Center in the Shimmer. It is a trilogy that has knocked out so quickly over the past few years, have been amazing. And now we're getting a soft cover collection of all 3 volumes of Inheritance that will be hitting in 2026. You can pre-order them. If you scroll down, you can see the other incredible volumes right here. Not only all of the Kingdom Keepers, but the various Inheritance storylines of Villain's Realm and The Final Draw. These are great books to stock, because they're not only fun for all ages, but I'm sure a Disney adult in your life. Somebody who wants to go to Disneyland or Disney World any day of the year if they had the opportunity, with or without their kids. Disneyland and Disney World are fun. And these are amazing books that hit in there because they're set in the Disney parks we can all attend, but they bring the fantasy of all the characters and concepts that we love into a real life fantasy. So fun stuff and something cool that you might not normally think to get at your local comic shop. But if you ask them, they can order, or perhaps they'll start stocking and developing a greater expanse that I think helps comic shops entering into 2026. We've had a crazy 2025, and anything that adds new stability to comic shops, like stocking manga, prose novels, and others, is great because it is a lot harder to be a comic shop in the 21st century, let alone in the 2020s. So things that help give you a reason to support your comic shop, give them more money, and maybe less to large corporate giants, only help support the place that is your third place, to help support the place that you love, where all the employees and staff, you get along with all of them. You can talk about your favorite geekdom with them. Add more of your favorite geekdom to that shop. Have you ever got there's another fun one. I always love throwing these twists, at Kyle because he has a harder time doing it back at me. Have you picked up something unique in the past year from your local comic shop that isn't a comic, like an action figure, a manga, a prose novel, or anything?
No.
No?
Because I'm the guy who orders that stuff.
Fair.
Like, so often I'm the guy, hey, can we talk about this weird book that you're like, I have no idea what this is. What is this? Right? Like, that's the stuff that when I go through the FOC lists that I'm looking for, is the stuff that it's like, this is an interesting concept. This is something I want to read. This is something that I want to, for lack of a better word, own and consume. So I'm able to say to the shop owner, I'm able to say to, my reps at these companies, hey, I want to order that thing. So the answer is no. I've not walked in and found something at a shop that I either A, didn't know was coming out, or B, didn't pre-order like that. That said, I have, because of the way I look at stuff, I have picked up regular comics that I had missed, and that have been really unique and interesting in that regard, right? Certain variants, certain story arcs or whatever, that's like, oh, this is a time I want to jump on to this series that I haven't been reading. Well, that is the kind of unique stuff I've picked up this year.
Absolutely. But I mean, that does mean that you are picking up those unique things into the comic shop to give them new revenue, which I think is cool because you're just placing orders for them.
But I've been that guy since day, I'm the guy who's always like, where's the weird black and white section where, you've got one copy you've been sitting on for 8 years of this really obscure art driven book.
So I think really quick. For all you guys who are watching mobile devices, you're not. I'm watching those little pine tree leaves, the water version, and doing everything right here. And then some way to
So, guys, I think Mathias is a little bit robot-y there for a minute. So I'll have him re-say what he just said. But there we go. Now he's back.
For the mobile devices, you guys aren't seeing this, but on the widescreen, if you're watching this on the computer, I'm having so much fun with Kyle like impaling himself on these pine tree leaves over here, and I'm doing everything I can to avoid these ones. And this one's I'm kind of like wedging my head in between them. But holiday humor.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, you want to switch to something else?
We can switch it there.
We can. But so there we go. So the next thing up that we're going to definitely talk about, I know you're going to talk about it, is Lone Wolf and Cub.
Obviously. Lone Wolf and Cub. It is the greatest manga of a lifetime. Kazuo Koike, Goseki Kojima created one of the best samurai stories ever. In fact, as everyone is right now going to rewatch Kill Bill, when Beatrix Kiddo expresses her favorite movie and her daughter is watching it, that Shogun Assassin is the live action version of Lone Wolf and Cub. When you're getting ready next year to go see The Mandalorian and Grogu on the big screen, that is Star Wars Lone Wolf and Cub. Lone Wolf and Cub is the epitome of masterpiece manga samurai storytelling. As the great Shogun Assassin leaves his job to take his child and run free as a Ronin, taking on free work. It is some of the greatest single adventures of samurai storytelling. Kazuo Koike, who was a master storyteller, did so much research and brought so much reality to the history of Japan and samurai to life in there. He did some of the greatest sound effect style lettering you'll ever see in manga, which is why Dark Horse does a great job keeping the original Japanese kanji for the sound effects. Goseki Kojima did unbelievable amounts of research, making sure that the actual costumes were historically accurate, the weapons were right. It is a masterpiece. So I love that Dark Horse is finally not doing those small little versions of this and giving us a large hardcover that is the size of the original magazines these came out in. The first volume is out. If you don't have it, go reach out to your local comic shop, have them order the Lone Wolf and Cub Deluxe Edition Volume 1. It is a masterpiece worth owning. I cannot wait for Volume 2. I hate that I own this so many forms. I have copies that are literally signed by Kazuo Koike while he was still with us, and I'm going to repurchase this, and I'm going to have this in my like 5th iteration of ownership.
Right. What is that saying? There are no new stories, or there are only 4 stories, and Lone Wolf and Cub is 3 of them.
Yeah.
Like
true.
It's there. There are only so many stories you can tell. In Lone Wolf and Cub, the master and the apprentice sort of story is a big one, and Lone Wolf and Cub tells it the best.
Absolutely. Although one I will also give a lot of credit to getting a deluxe edition treatment from a different publisher. Seven Seas has Monster Musume getting deluxe editions. And while many of you guys who are fans of this type of manga likely already are well aware of it or have seen the anime, I discovered this with the deluxe edition. I had the staff put it in my hand, tell me I had to read it. And it's cute. It's not what you would expect. It definitely has its ecchi, mature moments, but it is cute and funny and has an innocence to it that is absolutely amazing. So I guess I'm ordering volume 2 for myself, and maybe it might be something that leads you to go track down volume 1 and get an order in on volume 2 on your own end. So let's talk about a brand new manga, though, where you're not getting a deluxe edition. You're getting in with a start. Seven Seas has My Darling Devilish Daughter, another new volume 1 series. This one is rated teen, but it's a good little humor one. As you get the traditional misadventures, much like Monster Musume, of a human, and in this case, a half demon. But these are definitely their own genre that has a huge fandom to them. They do well, I think, in the comic shops because you're less likely to find these in the traditional box stores that have manga, like your Barnes & Nobles or Books A Millions. So definitely a fun one to keep in mind, that you're not going to always find these on shelves at big box stores or perhaps even at your local comic shop without getting the orders in through FOC. So something to keep in mind if that is your genre. We have a lot of great ones. Old Boy, another one of those ones like that I absolutely adore, has had movies, animes, and now is getting the deluxe edition from Dark Horse. I do love that we're in an era where we're not just getting tankobon. And for those not familiar with the term, tankobon is the Japanese term for those smaller softcover mangas that you see that are around this format. You know, it is nice to get larger artwork with Japanese comics. And I'll always adore that.
Every time we talk about Old Boy, though, I think of Old School. And I'm like, oh, yeah, the Will Ferrell movie.
A little bit different. I'm not going to lie. It's a little bit different.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. All right. How about A Prince of a Friend? Another new Seven Seas. Seven Seas, Dark Horse, really just unloading this week on FOC. They didn't take the day off or the week off for the holidays. But another fun rom-com, you know, teenage fun. You can see volume 2 already on this. I always love with PRH, you can scroll and see future issues, variant covers, and more. But another fun, mature, this one is definitely a mature manga that is hitting FOC this week. Had to point out the new volume 1 mangas. But let's go to a galaxy far, far away. One of my favorite locations to talk. 2 incredible Star Wars trade paperbacks, both from Dark Horse, on FOC this week. First off, we get Hyperspace Stories Codebreaker. These are all ages books, the Hyperspace Stories for Star Wars fans, but that doesn't mean they're for kids. While they're great to hand to kids, they're also just as fun as adults. This is Ethan Sachs telling us the tale of Poe Dameron. More Poe Dameron stories set during the sequel trilogy. It's an original story. It is awesome, especially with Sean Gordon Murphy doing some of the covers. Ethan Sachs was the guy who brought us things like, he brought us the Galactic tale of, what was the hotel in Orlando for Star Wars? Yep. I hate that within a year, we've already gotten rid of this hotel.
Galaxy's Edge?
Galaxy's Edge is also, he did work on some of those. The Galaxy's Edge is the ride area. The hotel was the...
Oh God, I have no idea. I'm not a Disney adult. I don't know.
Yeah. But Ethan Sachs, brilliant writer. He's good at doing both mature and all ages books. Gives us more Poe Dameron stories. And I can honestly say that while there's a large amount of the Star Wars fan base that doesn't have a huge amount of love for the sequel series, there's a large amount of young readers and young fans like my son who love the sequel trilogy. That was the trilogy they got to see in theaters, and that's the one that means the world to them. So I love that there is an all ages book that is perfectly geared and timed for those younger readers to enjoy Star Wars that isn't dad's Star Wars. You know, they there's a lot of young readers and young Star Wars fans that don't care about Luke and Anakin and Han Solo and, Obi-Wan. They want their Rey, their Poe, their Finn. And
they're wrong, but
but you know what? Let them have what they enjoy. and I guarantee you Ethan Sachs will do no wrong. I love these comics as they were coming out, and they're a great trade. Yes,
I
the
feel like
Star
Javi's
Cruiser.
right.
Thank you so much, Javi. The Star Cruiser.
Shout out to Javi. Hey, real quick, Matthias, you went flying right past one I wanted to talk about that I forgot to mention to you, which is Temple Fall by R.L. Boyle from Titan and Titan Books. This is
we haven't gotten there yet, actually, but yeah, we'll jump ahead.
Sorry, yeah, QRST. Sorry. Yeah. Again, I'm doing that thing where I'm looking a little bit ahead, going, okay, what do we need to talk about, and what did I misorder? So we'll get to it after we do the next Star Wars book. How about?
Okay, all right. So one last Star Wars book to keep it in theme: Star Wars Tales from the Nightland. Mind you, I really did consider having a guest for this week, but since it was such a small week, I didn't want to have a very, very limited window for our creators. So that is the reason we chose not to do a guest this week. But Cavan Scott would have been it. Cavan Scott has done an amazing series of horror books from the IDW era through Dark Horse. Each year around Halloween, he puts out Star Wars horrors. He's done Tales from Vader's Castle, and Tales from the Nightland is a new one where we deal with what would scare people in a galaxy far, far away. This deals with a haunting Twi'lek nightmare, and it does stories in different eras. So whether you're Kyle and you don't like the sequel era and you want your original trilogy, whether you're that new adult that's loving the prequel trilogy, or you're a young reader that's adoring the sequel trilogy, this has a little bit for you and then some with Old Republic and others, High Republic, all that fun. Cavan Scott brings an amazing collection of artists, Robert Hack, Franco Francavilla, Sue Lee, and more, to the Star Wars universe with tales of horror, all themed around this Rylothian Twi'lek nightmare in the Nightlands. A fun collection that is just great horror anthology in the Star Wars universe for kids to adults. $25 for a hardcover Star Wars book. There is no wrong on that. So that will be releasing, oddly enough, it's on screen for everyone to look at, March 24th. So just in time to get you ready for the May the 5th release. Yeah, all sorts of fun on that one. I truly do love these books. I have a collection of the single issues and hardcovers on my shelf. I cannot wait to add this one.
The scariest thing in the universe far, far away is Chewbacca's morning breath.
Ah, there's a fact. Well, let's get to what you wanted. We're next up.
Yeah.
Let's go to the tease. It's Temple Fall by R.L. Boyle.
So this is a paperback prose novel, guys. 336 pages, though, for $19. This is the story of a group of teenagers who are cursed to die on their 18th birthday. Written by R.L. Boyle, who was the Stoker Award shortlisted author of Book of Baku. If you're a fan of Clay McLeod Chapman's September House, Clay McLeod Chapman, or September House, or The Shining Girls, or one of those. These are some kids. They go to spend the night at like this haunted house, and in the days that come, they realize that they have been trapped and cursed by the things that were in the house that they disturbed. And that they have to figure out how to break the curse. They're allowed to leave, but when they leave, it doesn't go well for them. So it's this kind of weird sort of mythologic-y horror curse story.
Yeah.
But as it's Titan Comics, it's very British. Very British. So, like, you can read this book and just think Shrek's accent. Like, if you don't know what I mean when I say very British, right? Like,
I mean, are you sure that's not Canadian?
No, there's no unnecessary U's in these words. But no, it's this idea of like you just pick an English accent, right? A Great Britain accent, and you could set this in any sort of region you can hear in your head, and it makes the story interesting regardless.
I like it. All right, keeping it in the tease, I'm going to talk about Token City Wondercade. This is a great all-ages graphic novel. We're going to keep on this. This is coming from IDW, but specifically Top Shelf Productions. Top Shelf has always done amazing original graphic novels. Going back to prior to their purchase by IDW, they have done masterpieces. And this one seems like a fun all ages one, as it deals with a young girl whose father owns an arcade. She has become the person that can fix everything with a screwdriver. However, what happens when the problem in the arcade isn't something you can fix with a screwdriver because it's a little paranormal? As haunting things come to haunt her father's arcade, how will her and her friends be able to save the day? Just an absolute fun concept. With the season 1 title, you know we're going to come back for even more on this. I think this is everything I loved in Wreck-It Ralph, with a bit more of a family-friendly reality base to it. You know, $15 trade paperback, drops at the end of January. I'm excited. This is definitely I'm picking this up for my kid. I'm stocking it on the shelves of my store. This is a wonderful middle grade handoff. Young readers, amazing book. All sorts of fun there. I don't know if you want to talk about Jim Butcher, but everyone knows him, I think, at this point in time.
Yeah, it's if you're a fan of Jim Butcher, I would recommend Obsidian Moon, which you can get on Amazon. It's written by our friend Dan Wickline, but I don't need to sell you Jim Butcher at this point.
Yeah, and there we go. So let's wrap it off with look at these amazing manga that are all on FOC this week, including the new Witcher Omnibus. For those of you guys who aren't all that big on Hemsworth as Geralt, you can still enjoy the comics from Dark Horse. But there's one manga I want to wrap it up with, and this is another one coming out from Seven Seas, dropping a ton of number ones right now. It's Wait, I Love You. Wait, I Love You is definitely one of those mature yaoi books. This is, male love story, but I don't think that they always get enough attention. It seems to be the number one things I ask when I talk to customers going into comic shops that carry graphic novels is a lot of comic shops don't always carry yaoi, boy love, male, LGBTQ plus books. And look, that's a very understandable thing because you don't always know if that's going to be something that's going to sell in your community or comic shop. But this is something you can ask your comic shop to order. So when we have a brand new yaoi book on FOC, Wait, I Love You has the potential of being what you're looking for if that's the type of genre you like. And you can let your shop know it's available for order on FOC this Monday from Penguin Random House. So a cute romantic love story of two men by Omayu. There it is.
And now, I will say this, if you're out there and you're a comic shop that carries some manga or is developing a manga section, and you're in a town with a college, you should carry yaoi. I get that it might not be super comfortable for you. I get that you might not understand it. I get that you might not know. But once the word gets out that you have it, especially that late high school, early college female demographic that buys so much manga are going to come to your shop to pick up the yaoi, and they're going to buy the other stuff. And if you're a shop, again, that is trying to build out your manga section, they are also the kind that are going to bring you their used manga and sell it to you cheap as for store credit towards new manga. So it's a really great way to build out your manga community. And you don't have to carry a lot of it. You don't even have to look at it. It's one of those, they know what it is when they see it. They know if you have it, they know, and it just works out.
Yeah, I will state, not trying to tell anybody how to run their shop, but as I tried to develop my manga section, the things that I found sold the best, well, you will always have the high sellers of the young shonen books, like Naruto, Bleach, Soul Eater, Fire Force, etc. The adult manga, because many big box stores don't touch it, becomes a quick high seller. People love to actually have the opportunity to flip through these things that, again, the reminder of why your local comic shop is so great. You're not flipping through a book on Amazon. You don't get to have that moment. But although you can do that in your local comic shop.
There is a significant amount of this and the other side of that coin that do come sealed in plastic. Yeah. Don't unseal them. Just leave them sealed. that's another indicator that, hey, you customers who are looking for this kind of stuff, this is that stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, no, so great stuff, but also that reminder to all of you guys watching, a perfect reason why you want to use Final Order Cutoff to guarantee you get these items that you're looking for, whatever they are. You can reach out to your local comic shop. Your comic shop, I'm certain, would be happy to take an order where all they have to do is tack it onto their pre-existing order to guarantee you're going to get something you know you want, that they know for a fact they're going to sell. So I want to remind everyone my big two gifts that I would love from all of you is go to your local comic shop, pick up everything on your pull and hold, your subscription box, your pull list, whatever it's called. Pick up your comics, support your local comic shop, help them out, and get your orders into them and help inform more people that you know love comics or might have a love for sequential artwork. Let them know about Final Order Cutoff through these websites, through our weekly show, through your shop, however they do it. To get orders in advance, it makes a guarantee that you're going to get what you want, and it makes it easier on your local comic shop. And when you make it easier on your local comic shop, they do better. And when they do better, they're not only more successful, able to expand, there's more of them. It means comics get to a wider base. That helps everyone. When more people are reading it, it's more acceptable. It's more beloved. There's more people you can talk about your favorite thing with. Even your collectors, when there's more people buying it and reading it, it means the values on older or rarer things go up. It helps everyone, from the readers to the collectors to the comic shop. And that all starts with you bringing more people in to this love and sharing it and doing it the right way. Support your local comic shops, support your fellow friends that love this medium, bring people into it, and make them aware of Final Order Cutoff and to pick up their books from their local comic shop.
Yep. So coming up here on the EXP the rest of the week, Nick has the original art show tonight, and he has a special guest, which is, I'm going to tell you, it is.
It's so special.
No, I'm sorry. I don't want to get her name wrong. Colleen Duran.
Oh, wow. That's a special guest.
Yeah, Colleen Duran is taking commissions live on the air tonight on the original art show. That's at 7:00. And then Nancy will be here. She's doing vintage and modern books requests on Friday Night Live from Comics Unlimited. And then Sunday, Jay and I will be here 8:00 Eastern, talking about the Producer's Guide to Gifts. Listen, if you're still shopping for the nerds in your life at this point, you probably already know you're going to get them, but we're going to tell you what we want you to get us. And if maybe that helps you to figure out what you need to get somebody you haven't shopped for, great. If it helps you to send us gifts, yay! So one of those two things. We're going to have a good time talking about the stuff we want for Christmas as producers on the experience. But this is an announcement we're going to make right now. I'm going to make an announcement right now. Tomorrow afternoon at noon Eastern, what is that, 9 a.m. Pacific? 11 a.m., 9 a.m. Pacific?
Depends. What time is it currently?
10, 9. It's 2:00 Eastern right now.
2:00 Eastern would be 11 a.m. Pacific.
Right. So at noon, so that'd be 9 a.m. Pacific, we will be live from the super secret warehouse sale at Chris Rupp's warehouse, where you will have the opportunity to buy action figures and toys. So that'll be a fun thing that we're doing. And then next week we have the holidays, guys. It gets crazy. So make sure you're following the EXP on social media, because otherwise you're going to miss out on the schedule, right? Things are going to get moved around. Things are going to be shifted for holidays. So you've got to be following us on social media to get the full schedule. And then if Mathias and I can confirm our super secret guest for next week, that's where the announcement will be first. So make sure you tune in to all of that.
Yeah, so reminder, we'll have a small FOC next week, but there will still be things to FOC, still things to talk about. And we'll be doing our big end of the year top 10, the biggest books that affected the industry, that were the #1 most demanded things on FOC, that have skyrocketed in value, that comic shops are loving, That will be our big top 10. And it'll be a fun way to wrap the year before we dive right back into full FOCs and weekly guests as usual in 2026.
Absolutely.
All right. So again, happy Hanukkah to everyone. Merry Christmas next week. We'll be back on Boxing Day and the first day of Kwanzaa on the 26th to talk about the final FOC of 2025. Remember, get your orders into your local comic shop, pick up your books, and we'll see you next week.
See you later.